Alisa Kuju, known as Alya, stands out at school as a top student with perfect grades, strong athletic ability, and a key role as student council treasurer. She draws attention wherever she goes, yet she shuts down Ando's advances without hesitation. She scolds him for breaking school rules with his necklace, and the crowd watches in silence as she handles the situation with ease. Soon after, she enters her classroom and greets Kuz, who looks half dead from staying up all night watching anime. She scolds him sharply, calling him foolish for losing sleep over cartoons. During chemistry class, she keeps him awake by poking him, which leads to him blurting out a wrong answer when the teacher calls on him. When Kuze guesses copper, Alya calmly supplies the correct answer, nickel, making the class laugh and leaving him embarrassed. When he protests, she simply acts innocent. Throughout the day, Alya mutters sharp remarks at him in Russian. Kuz understands every word, having learned the language from a Russian girl in his childhood, but he keeps that fact hidden. He senses that her insults carry a teasing edge rather than real hostility. Later, when Kuze pulls out his phone to claim a character in a game, Alya confiscates it in annoyance. However, her expression changes when she sees he unlocked Tsukuyomi, a silver-haired goddess. A flicker of jealousy crosses her face, and she comments in Russian about her own silver hair. Kuze pretends ignorance, and she brushes it off as another insult. He explains that, unlike rich students, he has to work hard in games as well as life, which leaves Alya quietly frustrated. At lunch, Kuze sits with his friend Takeshi, who complains about his lack of popularity. They watch the student council members nearby, including Alya, her sister Maria, and the cheerful spokesperson Suoyuki. Takeshi envies Kuze for being close to Alya, even if she constantly nags him. He prefers Sue's friendly nature, while Alya remains distant and hard to read. That distance cracks when Sue approaches and talks freely with Kuze, revealing their childhood connection and her repeated attempts to recruit him into the student council. Alya listens, uneasy, and mutters in Russian that she knows his abilities well. After lunch, she comments on Kuze having friends after all, and quickly leaves, leaving Kuze lost in memories of the Russian girl who once shared sunsets and taught him her language. The next morning, Kuze arrives early and cleans the classroom. Alya notices immediately and teases him. When she reveals a stained sock, she casually asks him to help, pushing the situation further until it turns awkward. Embarrassment explodes into chaos when she kicks him away in panic. Later, apologies are exchanged, followed by more teasing and another outburst. Eventually, Kuze offers her a can of sweet shiruko. She accepts and offers him a sip in Russian. Kuze plays dumb again, leaving Alya amused and him completely flustered. The next day, Kuze arrives to help Swoo with a task she mentioned earlier. When he asks what it is, she immediately scolds him for his poor manners, pointing out that he should have asked whether she'd been waiting long. Kuze responds with exaggerated sarcasm, reenacting the polite version she expects, and Swoo plays along without missing a beat. Nearby, Alya watches them with a visibly sour expression, and comments that they seem to get along far too well, which embarrasses Kuze more than he wants to admit. Soon after, he learns the real reason he was called in. The student council storage room needs organizing. Subu asks him to retrieve board games from a high shelf, claiming she cannot handle ladders. Once he hands them over, she explains that the games are used for school festivals and that the council recently played them during a meeting. She proudly mentions winning. Alya quickly cuts in, demanding less chatting and more work. As Suu moves elsewhere, Alya grows restless and mutters in Russian that she wants attention, repeating it until Kuze grows increasingly unsure how to react. Once the work is finished, the student council president, Kenzaki, arrives and praises Kuzi's abilities. Kuzi thanks him politely while noticing the effortless charm that makes Kenzaki popular. He prepares to leave, but Kenzaki offers dinner as thanks. Kuzi refuses, yet Sue insists, revealing that Kuze has no dinner waiting at home. She casually admits they have known each other since childhood, which leads Kenzaki to invite both Alya and Sue along. During dinner, Sue praises Kuzi's versatility, pointing out how easily he handles both manual work and administrative tasks. Kenzaki is impressed and invites Kuze to join the student council. Kuzi declines again, tired of the responsibility after his middle school experience. Kenzaki explains the benefits for Kuzi's future, but Kuzi insists he lacks ambition. Suo urges him to run alongside her, yet he refuses. The conversation shifts when Kenzaki mentions that Alya is also running for president, which he confirms, triggering visible tension. Afterward, Kenzaki walks Suo home, while Kuze insists on walking Alya despite her refusal. During the walk, she confirms her candidacy without much enthusiasm and later thanks him before heading off alone. When Kuze reaches home, he finds a girl already inside, calmly announcing she will stay the night. As she discusses a book, she notes the irony of hidden family roles, which amuses Kuze given her public act as his childhood friend. Later, the group meets again, leading to lunch at a famously spicy restaurant. Alya bravely follows, despite clear warnings. She barely survives the first bite, pretends otherwise, then collapses after adding more spice. She wakes in a park where Kuz offers her ice cream. She admits she wants to aim high as president and quietly wishes he would stand beside her. The day ends with shopping, teasing praise, sudden embarrassment, and Alya riding the subway home alone, still trying to untangle her thoughts. When Alya returns home, her older sister Masha greets her with warmth and easy teasing. Alya mentions running into Kuze and his childhood friend, and Masha immediately points out that Alya always sounds irritated whenever his name comes up. She suggests that Kuze stirs something in her heart. Alya denies it at once and brushes the idea aside. Her thoughts drift back to her school days in Russia. During a group project, while her classmates pick easy topics, Alya chooses a difficult one and throws herself into it. She visits florists and butcher shops for research, yet her group contributes nothing. Even so, another group wins, leaving her crushed. From that moment, she decides to rely only on herself and stop expecting effort from others. Years later, in Japan, she passes a tough transfer exam with pride and enters a prestigious school. There, she meets Kuze, a laid-back boy who sleeps through class and shows little interest in studies or sports. His attitude frustrates her, especially given the school's standards. As the school festival approaches, Alya takes charge of sewing ghost costumes, while most of the class, including Kuz, stays relaxed. She overhears them saying the festival is not worth taking too seriously, which reignites her old resentment. Determined, she works late alone and ends up pricking her finger. Kuze eventually finds her and explains that the Handicrafts Club is ready to help, so she does not have to struggle alone. Overwhelmed, Alya breaks down, insisting she wants everything to be perfect. Kuze calmly tells her that school events are meant to be shared. Conflicted and upset, she walks away. The next day, pre-festival activities help her loosen up. She starts enjoying teamwork and even receives a well-made costume. By the festival day, their haunted house is a success, and the class wins first place. During the folk dance that night, Alya chooses to sit with Kuze. She explains she practiced ballet, and the dance is easy for her, but she avoids dancing with others. Kuze notices her frustration, with being called the Ice Princess, and she admits it bothers her because it ignores her hard work. She thanks him for understanding and admits the festival would not have been as fun alone. She apologizes to Kuzi and agrees to let him call her Alya. When other boys approach, Kuzi pulls her away, and they dance together, leaving her heart racing. The next day she acts cold again, but Masha quickly sees through it. Later, Masha meets Kuzi, teases him in Russian, shops for plush gifts, and comforts him when he grows quiet, accidentally spilling tea as the Alya plush looks on. Kuzi arrives at the student council room as Masha proudly shows off the new mascot to President Kenzaki. Kenzaki admits it is cute, but quickly hopes it will not become a permanent decoration. Kuzi sets the supplies on the table, and Kenzaki thanks him, joking that the council would have collapsed if Kuju had gone shopping alone. He pats Kuzi on the shoulder and once again brings up joining the council. Kuzi stays firm, but agrees to help when needed. Masha casually suggests he join in name only, which only deepens Kuzi's confusion about the president's persistence. Kenzaki presses further, sensing Kuzi's refusal goes beyond workload. Kuzi admits he does not feel worthy of the position. Kenzaki reminds him of his capable performance as vice president in middle school. Kuzi explains that the role felt empty back then. In response, Kenzaki shares that he only became president to impress his crush, now his girlfriend and vice president, Sarashina Chisaki. He even shows an old photo of himself, looking nothing like his current confident image. Kenzaki explains that a role gains meaning through action, not intention, and hints that Kuzi could support someone else's presidency. Kuzi agrees to think about it. Masha teases Kenzaki for sounding old, and he laughs it off. Kuzi asks about Alya, and Kenzaki explains she is mediating a dispute between the baseball and soccer teams over field usage. With Chisaki busy, Alya is struggling alone. Concerned, Kuzi excuses himself. In the locker room, Alya faces heated arguments and feels powerless. Her suggestion to use a nearby park is rejected, and the conflict escalates. Overwhelmed, she quietly asks for help in Russian. Kuzi hears it and steps in. Recognized as a former vice president, Kuzi calmly redirects the discussion. He suggests the baseball team use the Riverside field and asks the soccer team to help move equipment. After resistance, the assistants agree, easing tensions. He asks both captains to submit formal requests. Later, he explains his small manipulation to Alya, who listens closely. Back at the council, Kenzaki reveals the situation was staged to draw Kuzi in. Accepting this, Kuzi agrees to join. That night, Kuzi promises Alya his support for her presidency. She shakes his hand, slips into Russian, and later kisses his cheek goodbye. Alone, Alya panics over what she said, while Masha quietly sees through her denial. Lost in his thoughts, Kuzi feels embarrassed after blurting out something cheesy in front of Alya. He is convinced she said she loves him, yet his low self-esteem refuses to accept it as real. Instead, he assumes she simply got caught in the moment. His mind spirals further, imagining her screaming into her pillow in regret. That line of thinking fits too well with his own broken view of love, shaped by years of watching his parents fight until affection felt fragile and unreliable. When he gets home, he notices his sister Yuki's shoes by the door, even though she said she would be out. He heads to the bathroom and walks in on her undressed, only for her to scream and call him a pervert. Kuzi immediately suspects it is deliberate, and she soon admits it is. She claims every pair of siblings needs to experience that cliché moment. From there, the situation spirals into absurd banter, with Yuki fully committing to the act and Kuzi reluctantly playing along. Eventually, she corners him into admitting he glanced, which only fuels her teasing. Later in his room, Yuki asks if he is joining the student council. Kuze confirms it and admits he plans to support Alya for president. Yuki reacts dramatically, declaring them rivals while enjoying the chaos. She forces him to brush her hair as payback, clearly having fun with the situation. Kuze reassures her that he still cares about her, but he refuses to abandon Alya. Though she pretends not to care, Yuki hates losing. The next morning, Yuki proves she is fine by pranking him again. Meanwhile, Alya waits at school, nervous but trying to act normal. When Kuze arrives without his usual sleepy attitude, she notices immediately. During gym class, Alya scores the winning point in volleyball, while Kuze takes a ball to the head. As she checks on him, his thoughts spiral again in all the wrong directions, leaving him visibly flustered. Masha soon joins them, casually closing the distance and unintentionally making things worse. Jealous, Alya pulls Kuze away. She checks on him once more, worried by his strange behavior, and when his stomach growls, she assumes he is hungry. Her own lack of sleep shows when she storms off, irritated that he seems fine while she struggled all night. At the end of the day, Kuze brings Alya to the student council room, where chaos greets them in the form of Sarashina wielding a bamboo sword. After the tension settles, laughter fills the room. With everyone present, Kuze finally steps forward and announces that he will run for the student council alongside Alya. Kuze openly presents himself as a fan of otaku media, making it clear he is easy to talk to. Soon after, the president announces that Kuze is officially a council member, and his first assignment is to assist Masha, the older Kuju sister. Kenzaki believes Kuze will adapt quickly due to his vice president experience, treating this as both training and a test. Shortly after, Yuki announces she is heading to the art club to discuss their next exhibition and wants Alya to come along. Alya agrees, and the president approves without hesitation. As they leave, Kuze senses trouble ahead, and Alya shares the same uneasy feeling. She stops Yuki in an empty classroom to speak privately, directly stating her intention to run for president alongside Kuze. She does not apologize, but insists Yuki hear it from her first. Yuki accepts it calmly, yet admits she feels hurt for not being chosen. She goes further, confessing she loves Kuze more than her parents, which shocks Alya. The tension escalates as Yuki presses Alya about her feelings until Alya admits she does not fully understand them yet, but refuses to give Kuze up. Satisfied, Yuki agrees, and they settle on using first names. Meanwhile, Kuze works with Masha and quickly notices her efficiency and organization. In contrast, Chisaki proves clumsy, prompting Kenzaki to send her to restock the library. He explains that despite her accidents, she excels during serious discussions. Kuze smooths things over by pointing out that everyone has different strengths. Afterward, Masha suggests tea, preparing it with milk, sugar, and strawberry jam. Kuze enjoys it, reminded of Russian films he once watched with his grandfather, though he finds the jam overly sweet. When Alya and Yuki return, Masha offers them tea. Yuki accepts eagerly, while Alya hesitates and then sits extremely close to Kuze, citing a Russian superstition about bad luck from sitting at a table corner. This sparks jealousy, making Kuze realize he stands between rivals. Masha confirms the superstition, and Alya plays it off, though the tension remains obvious. Later, after council duties end, Kuze walks home with Alya and notices her irritation. He invites her out to discuss the election, and she agrees, while clearly denying romantic intent. Over food, Kuze reassures her about the campaign, stressing the need for authenticity and a strong personal story. Alya listens while teasing him, mixing sincerity with playful provocation. Though flustered, Kuze stays focused, determined to help her win. The following day, Yuki introduces Ayano from Class 1C as another council member working alongside Kuze, leaving him suspicious of Yuki's true strategy. The following day, the new council member, Kimishima Ayano, approaches Kuze with stiff politeness and barely hidden hostility. She expresses disappointment that he supports Alisa Kuju for president, leaving Yuki behind. Kuze internally curses the old warning about choosing sides. Ayano quickly clarifies she is not speaking on Yuki's behalf, but is personally evaluating Kuze as a possible threat. Kuze mocks her devotion, yet Ayano remains calm and concludes he is not trying to hurt Yuki. Kuze openly admits that supporting Alya is his priority, even if it causes problems. Ayano reacts with restrained admiration, sensing his resolve, and accepts his claim that his feelings for Yuki remain unchanged. She thanks him and leaves, and Kuze immediately understands his sister is deeply upset. Later in class, Takeshi flashes a magazine filled with bikini models and drags Kuze into the conversation. Kuze plays dumb, which only escalates things, and when he casually points to one girl, the others tease him for her resemblance to Masha. The banter grows awkward until Alya appears, scolding him in Russian and condemning the magazine itself. Kuze deflects blame, but Alya stays firm, clearly irritated. When the topic shifts to dating, Kuze admits he wants someone who is also his best friend. Alya quietly challenges that idea in Russian, leaving Kuze flustered and nostalgic. Embarrassment spreads until Alya storms off with the magazine in hand. Soon after, Ayano reports back to Yuki, stating Kuze refuses to abandon Alya and insists any complaints be said directly. Yuki takes it as a declaration of war, briefly questions Ayano's loyalty, then fires herself up for the election. Confident in her popularity, she prepares to crush Alya head-on. The next day, the council gathers for a casual poker game using chocolate chips. Yuki dominates effortlessly, while Sarashina loudly exposes Alya's tells. The room fills with noise, teasing, and tension. Ayano returns with drinks, proudly explaining her servant-like upbringing, which leaves Kuze deeply uncomfortable. As supplies run low, Masha pulls Kuze aside, thanking him for supporting her sister. She opens up about their strained bond, and Kuze quietly admits his own fear of living in Yuki's shadow. That calm breaks when Taniyama Sayaka confronts Alya, accusing her of stealing Kuze to provoke Yuki. Kuze steps in firmly, declaring the choice was his. Sayaka refuses to back down and challenges them to a public debate, igniting excitement as Alya steps forward, fully ready for war. Kuze and Alisa sit down with Kanzaki to sort out their approach for the upcoming school congress debate. The focus stays on teacher reviews and council access, and Kuze admits he is uneasy since his reputation with teachers is far from spotless. Kanzaki hesitates, unsure whether pushing this debate is worth the risk. However, Alisa pushes back, saying that winning will legitimize their candidacy and add weight to their campaign. She also casually reminds Kuze that he insulted her before, so she intends to force an apology later. Kuze chooses to see the upside, realizing this debate gives him a chance to announce his candidacy before the closing ceremony. He agrees to make it official by the end of the day, and Yuki offers her support before wishing them luck. Afterward, Kuze and Alisa refine their strategy. Kuze explains where Sayaka will likely position herself, relying on his past experience working with her. Alisa presents her counter plan, which Kuze approves, while suggesting she tighten her wording. When Alisa asks about Kuze's history with Sayaka, he explains they once respected each other, though she now believes he is running purely to stir trouble. Alisa senses this tension is tied to her involvement and reassures him that she will help him win. On the day of the debate, Sayaka's partner Nonoa approaches Kuze and calmly states she will not participate, which explains her relaxed attitude. Kuze explains to Alisa that Nonoa is Sayaka's childhood friend and highly influential, advising her to stay focused on Sayaka alone. As the debate begins, Alisa steps onto the stage, shaken by memories of being ignored before. Still, her resolve hardens as whispers spread through the crowd, predicting her defeat. Her nerves spike when Kuze abruptly distracts her, but he quickly grounds her, reminding her to stop chasing perfection and trust herself. Once Kenzaki opens the Congress, Sayaka presents her case for teacher-approved council members and earns strong applause. Elisa responds by defending student autonomy, warning that faculty control would weaken the council's independence. The crowd visibly splits, and Kuze feels proud as Elisa holds her ground. During the exchange, Sayaka presses harder, supported by murmurs from the audience, likely fueled by Nonoa's influence. Overwhelmed, Elisa falters, and Kuze steps in, lightening the mood before taking the podium himself. He challenges the premise by pointing to Kenzaki's own rise under the current system. The motion collapses soon after. Sayaka withdraws, shaken, and Elisa follows her to offer comfort. Later, as emotions settle, Kuze admits he chose Elisa not out of obligation, but conviction. Elisa laughs softly in Russian, leaving Kuze both nervous and confused as they walk away together. Yuki speaks with her grandfather about the school congress, and he calmly notes that Kuze and the Taniyama heiress took part while Sayaka withdrew again, just like in middle school. He believes that withdrawal only strengthens Kuze's legitimacy and reminds Yuki that power carries responsibility. Her mother joins briefly, asking about Kuze, then pulls back with quiet regret and sends Yuki off to study. Later in her room, Yuki asks Ayano for comfort and presses against her, easing her tension. At school, Kuze's classmates swarm him about the Congress. He quickly shifts the credit to Elisa, yet the attention fades fast. Noticing her discomfort, Kuze prompts others to speak to her. But when students mock Sayaka, Elisa leaves, upset. Kuze follows her to the council room and reminds her that appearances matter, even if Sayaka withdrew. He promises to help with the closing ceremony, lifting her mood. Their moment breaks when Kenzaki and Shizaki awkwardly hide nearby, forcing Kuze to defuse the situation like a clumsy rom-com. Later, Kuze speaks privately with Nonoa. She flirts, yet he advises her to value herself and suggests softening rumors about Sayaka's withdrawal. Nonoa agrees. Soon after, misunderstandings pile up as Yuki, Ayano, and Elisa cross paths, fueling quiet jealousy and confusion. That afternoon, Kuze invites Elisa to study. She agrees, though tension lingers. Yuki and Ayano join, despite Elisa's reluctance. Studying turns chaotic as Kuze uses his strange shortcut methods, which the others accept as normal. Masha arrives with tea, then pulls out a hypnosis book. Kuze follows it jokingly, accidentally putting Masha and Elisa to sleep. Yuki pushes for mischief, and things spiral until Chisaki storms in and snaps them awake. Embarrassment explodes as they realize their state, while Kuze narrowly avoids being reset himself, frozen in fear. Kuze struggles to stay focused on studying for an important exam, tempted to watch his favorite anime, Brain Hazard. He reminds himself not to let Alya's evaluations suffer from his distraction. Just then, Alya calls, checking on him after hearing a noise. She warns him about slacking off when studying alone and asks how he's doing. Kuze admits he's struggling, and Alya, confident in her motivation, proposes a bet. If Kuze ranks in the top 30, she will grant any reasonable wish. If he fails, he owes her a wish. Kuze accepts, joking about hiding his excitement and admitting he doesn't understand Russian. They exchange birthdays, realizing shared details strengthen their bond. After the call, Kuze smiles, thinking they might share a telepathic connection, while Alya feels relieved and regrets not wishing him happy birthday. 5 days later, after exams, Kuze praises Alya's performance and invites her to walk home to discuss the closing ceremony. She blushes as he notices she stopped using Russian to hide her feelings. They talk birthdays and traditions, and Kuze asks if she would celebrate his belated one, making her flustered. People stare at Alya, and she explains her Russian acts as a shield. They joke about her admirers, and Kuze apologizes for acting like a boyfriend, which surprises her. At a restaurant, they plan the closing ceremony, discussing speeches, audience reactions, and strategies to close the gap with Yuki. Kuze reassures Alya she should remain true to herself, only using rough tactics if opponents act first. They toast a belated birthday, and Alya feeds him, giving him a handmade mug as a present. Kuze teases her about couples' mugs, Flustered by her explanation, at school, Kuzi helps Masha clean up after a hypnosis incident, apologizing and receiving playful punishment. He chats with Yuki and jokes about his grandfather's flashy suit. Alya and her mother arrive, and his grandfather charms her, suggesting she marry Kuzi, leaving him flustered. They are interrupted by Yumi So, reminding Kuzi of his mother. Masachika dreams of his childhood, recalling how nothing he did impressed his mother. He wakes up with a cold and is surprised to find Alya outside, sent by Yuki to nurse him. She prepares porridge and studies while he rests. In the evening, Ayano joins in a maid uniform, also ordered by Yuki, and Alya reluctantly heads home. Masachika oversleeps until nearly noon, realizing Yuki arranged for sleepy medicine. Ayano admits it's too late to stop Yuki's scheme, and he rushes to school. He finds Alya, who explains how Yuki pressured her into a radio broadcast the day before, emotionally destabilizing her by mentioning Masachika. She performed poorly and feels devastated. Masachika cheers her up, noting Yuki's goal was to shake her before the closing ceremony. As he starts scheming against Yuki, Alya finds his smile attractive. He reassures her that her reasons don't need to match Yuki's. She's captivating as she is. They are interrupted by Nonoa and Sayaka, who want to apologize, but Masachika proposes a plan to handle the situation before any public announcement. After rehearsing her speech, Alya asks Masachika for tips on engaging the audience. He shares a trick, then Yuki appears, exchanging fake pleasantries and subtle threats with him. The student council arrives and Yuki wins the coin toss, but ultimately chooses to go first, trying to dominate. At the closing ceremony, second-year speeches end, and Yuki delivers hers, promising to fulfill all student wishes using her experience. Masachika admits it's a good speech, despite the empty promises. Ayano follows, highlighting Yuki's qualities as her running mate. Alya goes next, confusing the audience by speaking in Russian on Masachika's advice, then repeating herself to calm the crowd and refocus attention. She admits inexperience, but vows to work harder and earn their support, ending with a passionate plea that earns huge applause. Masachika's speech follows. He jokes about past middle school antics, then praises Alya's charisma and earnestness. He reveals Sayaka and Nonoa have joined Alya's council, bringing them on stage for proof, earning huge applause. Yuki reluctantly admits defeat. Afterward, Masachika misses the top 30 in exams, coming 33rd. He and Alya agree to call each other by first names and plan a summer meeting to prepare for the election, leaving them both flustered but happy.